I'm originally from Providence, Rhode Island.
And I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
My father was an immigrant coming from Italy. Mom was born in this country, and I was raised in Rhode Island. Pretty much spent all my time there. Undergraduate work was at the University of Rhode Island.
My father owned a grocery store, and we lived behind in the back of the grocery store. My mother was just a stay-at-home mom and helped in the store occasionally. My father had been drafted for World War II and served in World War II as a teletype operator in Burma. So, sending, transmitting the signals, I guess, to the troops in, that part of the war.
Yeah, my father avoided the Italian draft and came to this country. So he was he was the first of the draft dodgers of the family.
I think his mom had a lot to do with it. The way the story was, his mom worried after World War One that they were drafting men of his age, and didn't, in case wanted him to be drafted, and thought it would be safer to send him to this country than there. So that was why he came here. So, my goal was just to do well in high school to get a scholarship to go to nursing school. And I happened to find out about the Walter Reed Army Institute of Nursing scholarship and applied for it and was selected. And the scholarship paid for all 4 years of education and required just 3 years of payback time. So to me, it was a win-win because I would get my education for free and only need to pay the military back 3 years. So
URI was a land grant college, so it had to have an ROTC program. And the class before mine was mandatory that everybody took 2 years of ROTC. I was the one that didn't get the word, signed up anyway. And so after 2 years, then of course it was $100 a month. And I said, gee, this is a pretty good deal. So that's kind of the way I saw it, and I figured I'd come out as a second lieutenant, and I was therefore going to be drafted anyway. And that was during the draft, so I decided to do that.
I graduated in 1969.
I was a 68.
I think in the back of my mind, I knew there was a possibility that I could be sent to Vietnam, but never, thought one way or the other, or particularly, either feared it or wanted to avoid it or anything like that. So it was just, there in the background, but not, anything that I thought, oh, wow, I'm going to be doomed because, I'll be in the Army and I'll be sent to Vietnam or anything like that. So.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and there was a lot of anti-war resentment. I was kind of neutral toward it. But every year that Dow Chemical came to recruit people, they'd burn the building down or they'd have protests and everything. So, there was quite a lot of protesting then. But I was kind of just neutral toward it and figured I was in the draft and I would probably have to go there. I just took it.
After I married Peter, I was afraid and was pretty sure that he was going to be sent to Vietnam. And I had specifically mentioned to the nurse career, assignment people that if he got orders for Vietnam, I wanted to also go to Vietnam. And back then, the military pretty much was discriminatory about married nurses. And so they just pointed out to me that if the Army had wanted me to have a husband, they would have issued me a husband, and that there was no guarantee that even, quote, even if I got orders to Vietnam, that we would be assigned anywhere together. But I felt like at least if we were together in Vietnam, it was better than me being assigned to a military hospital in the United States while he would be in Vietnam. So that was my goal, was to get the assignment to Vietnam, and I wouldn't worry about the getting together part once we got there. So.
Yeah, I was at a medical training center. There was a medical training unit. We were training medics for Vietnam. And I knew that ultimately, though, everybody pretty much in my class was going to get orders. So I happened to meet Susan at a party, and we struck it off. And within about a week, I realized I wanted to marry her. So, I'm an impulsive guy. And it was kind of very interesting that, under the rules of land warfare there, the senior person is always the first to leave the party. I figured that, hey, if I look like I got a date from the party, I might be able to get out early because this guy just wouldn't leave. So I just struck up a conversation with Susan, and we decided we were going to leave together. And it was kind of very interesting that this individual, who was a senior person, became the Surgeon General, and I became his aide 8 years later. So I was the aide to the Surgeon General, and that's how. And he always wondered, he'd always look at me kind of strange and everything. And I kind of knew in the background, maybe he knew this was the guy, I think he snuck out early. But, I had this was a guilty conscience.